Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Whitepod. My name is Harshit, and I'm the Director of Business Alliances at White Labs. We are a digital agency specializing in SaaS and e-commerce marketing. And my today's special guest is the co-founder and CEO of Cloud Dentistry, a digital platform for messaging and booking dental staff on demand. Big welcome to you, Trey, and I'm so happy to have you with me.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All right. How's the day treating you?
It's going well. It's going so far. As good as any day can go, right? I wake up and it's going to be a busy day, but that's the kind of day I like.
All right, Trey, let's start with your journey. Would love to know about your early days and then as an economics street instructor, and then your profit so far. So tell us about that.
Sure. You've done your research. I never imagined that I would end up in the dental space. My career path has been a zigzag line all over the place. So going back to the very beginning, I was actually born in Mexico City. Lived there for the first 14 years of my life. And I moved to the US when I was 14 years old, finished off high school in Houston, Texas, and slowly migrated north from there. So I went to Duke University for undergrad, majored in biology and economics. I thought I was going to be pre-med because that's what a lot of smart people are always told. Oh, you have to do pre-med. If you're good at science and math, you need to do pre-med. But ultimately, it wasn't a good fit for me. I took the MCATs and everything, but when it got time to write the personal statement for applying to the medical schools, they ask you, why do you want to be a doctor? And I couldn't think of a good, compelling reason to write an essay aside from making money. So this isn't going to work. This isn't going to get me into medical school. So I pivoted. I went to law school. I went to Harvard Law. And while I was at Harvard, I taught 2 years of undergraduate economics as well at the Harvard College. I graduated from law school, really enjoyed being a commercial litigator. I was a commercial litigator for about 6-7 years. Started at Ropes and Gray here in Boston. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. So did some very high profile cases. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed being in the courtroom and arguing cases. That was always like the highlight. But the thing I didn't like about the legal system is that it's all based on billable hours. And so they don't prize efficiency. And I always prized efficiency. I said, look, I just want to find the shortest point from point A, or the shortest line from point A to point B, get the job done and move on to something else. In the legal world though, if I was very efficient and it only took me 10 hours to do a summary judgment motion for the court, and then it maybe would have taken a colleague of mine 30 hours to draft the same motion, that 20-hour delta didn't get me any bonus points, right? They would just say, oh, find another 20 hours to bill someplace. And because of that, and my dad was an entrepreneur, so I've had entrepreneurism in my family. I've always had my ear to the ground looking for entrepreneurial opportunities. And then one day I just happened to be having dinner with a high school friend of mine. His name is Reza. I hadn't seen this guy in probably 10 years. We had lost touch, but we're catching up over dinner. He's a dentist and I was a lawyer at the time. And so we get into this friendly chest bumping match, arguing about who had a tougher job. Was it tougher being a lawyer or was it tougher being a dentist? And over the course of that conversation, I think he ended up winning the argument, if you can call it that. It was more of a discussion because we ended up creating an entire business around his pain point, right? So he was telling me that as a dentist, he's in patients' mouths all day long. Then he starts to run his business on top of it. So he's both clinician and business operator. And then to add insult to injury, the staff was very unreliable. And the reason for this is that the demographics are not set up in his favor, right? 50% of the dental professionals are part-time or temporary workers. And in any given month, he was going to be short-staffed 4 or 5 days because people calling in sick, people going on vacation, people quitting. There's an annual 20% turnover rate. And so he's like, Trey, I'm pulling out my hair. It's trying to run a business on shifting sands. And so I asked him, what do you do if someone calls in sick or you're short staffed? Like what do you do? And it's a very huge pain point for dentists. He would either have to cancel his patients for the day, which would cost him thousands of dollars in lost production, or he would use one of 2 solutions. And this is scary as an outsider. He was telling me he was using Craigslist to find new hygienists and new assistants to spot him for the day. And he's using Indeed and then also using temp agencies. And so I'm guessing you and your audience are probably familiar with both of those models. But the big critique of job boards is that they boast about having all these resumes, millions of resumes. But the reality is most of them are stale, right? You message them, you don't get any reply back. It's like talking into a black hole. And then on the temp agency side, it's a very human capital intensive business. It costs a lot of money to make these matches happen behind the scenes because they're using humans to make the matches happen. And so they charge 25, 30% markups on the rates that the hygienists are charging. And then they also own the relationship. So Reza was saying, look, if I hire a hygienist through a temp agency, that 35% markup, that's my margin. It's gone. I'm not making money for that day. And then two, if I like the hygienist and I want to hire him or her full time, the temp agency is going to charge me $10,000 to buy out the contract. It's very cost prohibitive. So anyway, long story short, it was against that backdrop that the wheels start turning in our heads. And we're just like, this doesn't make sense, right? As an outsider looking in, I'm thinking to myself, there are marketplace solutions for almost everything nowadays. If I needed a nanny, I could go to care.com and have a nanny tonight. If I needed someone to walk a dog, I could download the WAG app and get a dog walker. There's Instacart, there's Airbnb, there's lots of things. I was like, why does something like this not exist in dentistry? And we looked around online, there was nothing. There was nothing. It just seemed, oh my goodness, this is such a golden opportunity. The fact that there's a proven business model that has worked for countless other verticals.
Okay.
And there's an industry, a large industry that hasn't adopted it yet, that is primed for. So I told Reza right there and then, right then and there, I said, Reza, I'm in, let's do this. If you're in, we'll pull together some money. I'm happy to work full time and spearhead this thing. And it seems too good an opportunity to pass up. So I quit being a lawyer and I went dove head first into the entrepreneurial life. And then, yeah, here we are.
Interesting. And like you mentioned, you saw an opportunity which was actually working for multiple verticals, but there was nothing out in dental industry altogether, for dental industry altogether. It's been, I think you launched back in 16, 17, right?
Correct.
So it's been quite some journey now. So what's the market penetration now? Like how much is the industry dependent onto on demand versus like you provide?
Sure. It definitely has been quite a journey. I think it's almost a prerequisite for entrepreneurs that you have to be a little bit naive. Because like everything that it's going to entail and all the work that's going to be required to get you to where you want to be, most people wouldn't embark on the journey. So you have to be a little bit naive thinking, oh, this is going to be pretty easy. So it was definitely, especially in the early years, it's gotten easier since, but definitely in the earlier years, it was very challenging. I remember going office to office, meeting with hygienists in person for coffee, trying to get them onto the platform one at a time. And it was brutally difficult. It took me almost a full year to get my first 100 clients, probably over a year to get to 100 clients. And now today, we have about 5,000 subscribed paying offices on the platform. So from 100 to 5,000, it seemed after that first year when it took me forever to get to 100 offices, I was like, how am I ever going to get to 500 or much less 1,000? Never mind 5,000. It was like an insurmountable goal. But if you keep chipping away at it, you can make it happen. You have to keep making improvements, keep changing and pivoting, take a very iterative approach to the product. And now to answer your question, in the markets where we're strongest, dental practices are very reliant on Cloud Dentistry, both on both dental offices and the professionals looking for work. So in places like Austin, for example, which is one of our larger markets, 1 out of every 3 dental offices is currently a subscribed paying customer. In Houston, it's about 1 out of every 4. Same story for Dallas, 1 in 4. Atlanta is about 1 in 5. Denver is also a very large market of ours. So we managed to scale across multiple geographic areas and get significant market penetration in each of them. And that's in many ways, it's critical that we do so because it's ultimately a network play. Someone could go out and copy Facebook or copy LinkedIn, the UI UX, but it's of no value unless you have the users. And so there's a lot of power that comes from having a large network. So once you have all these users on the platform, constantly making matches happen, then things really start to take off, right? On a monthly basis, we're doing over 11,000 placements every single month. And so it's being utilized like crazy, and offices are very, very thankful for us because it's making their life a lot easier. We're taking them a lot of time, a lot of money. And then on the other side, the professionals love us too, because they get more flexibility. They get to choose when and where they work. They get to set their own rates. We give them a lot of power as well. So it's been very well received.
Brilliant. Let's talk a bit more about the platform and its core expertise. I know for the fact that it's a competitive market now, and though you were a early starter, but now there are a lot of competition for business. Let's talk about some of the USPs of Cloud Dentistry.
Talk about some of the competitors?
No, I just want to know more about your own unique selling propositions.
Sure. What we like to say is that we remove all the friction and disintermediate the market, allowing offices and professionals to connect in a completely seamless fashion, right? And so everything, it's all product driven. All of the matches happen through the product itself. Like I mentioned before, we do 11,000 matches every single month. No one on my team does anything for that. It's all product driven. So it's a very seamless, very easy experience for the user. And I think that's absolutely critical. Cut out costs. You have to cut out time and effort. All of it has to be completely seamless. People are used to that, right? They're used to Uber. They're used to Apple. All the user interfaces are very easy to use, very intuitive, and everything just works. And so when I first launched the platform, it's funny when you think about, oh, I'll make a platform people can match. It should be pretty straightforward. It's not. The devil is in the details of the product. And so when I first launched, I remember distinctly having to call professionals that were booked on the platform and remind them to go to their assignment. Or if someone were to show up late, I'd be on the phone like, where are you? You got to get over there. I was still behind the scenes micromanaging all of these things. And it was very demoralizing for me at the beginning because we would have a booking on the platform. And then about 40% of the time, the professional that was booked for that assignment wouldn't show up 40% of the time. And that's true for Craigslist. That's true for Indeed. That's true for Facebook. When people reach out, when dental offices reach out to professionals, there's about a 40% chance that they're going to get ghosted the day of the assignment. Ghosting seems to be like I don't know, it's a demographic thing for the younger generation, but they don't even give you the courtesy of a call. They just don't show up and they just disappear. And so that was incredibly demoralizing. And so I tell you this story because it just goes to the point of kind of the iterative changes we had to make to the product over the course of many years to get all the details right. And so by gamifying the entire system, so we've gamified the system, we're tracking no-show rates, we're suspending users. They can earn points for responding quickly, for getting good reviews. There's a massive amount of gamification under the hood. And because of that now, when we have a confirmed booking, we have less than a 1% no-show rate. And so it's working. And so I think that's one of our biggest competitive advantages is that our product is just far and away superior. If you talk to other offices who have used competitor platforms, they complain over and over again about the same problem I had several years ago. People not showing up because they haven't properly designed the platform to truly disintermediate and create a frictionless experience. The second big differentiator, aside from the product, is the business model. So if you look at a lot of the competitors out there, most of them are basically temp agencies with an online veneer. So they're still charging 15, 20% markups on the bookings. They're still charging buyout fees if you find someone on their platform that you want to work with. And so I'm like, okay, they haven't really innovated. They've added an online component that makes it a little bit easier to use, but fundamentally they still are temp agencies. Whereas with Cloud Dentistry, we are a true marketplace solution. We take out the middleman, office contacts the professional, they book them, they make the assignment happen. The professional sets their own rate. So they choose how much they want to make on the platform, and everything they make goes 100% to their wallet. There's no percent markup on the professional's rate. And then if an office likes working with a professional and wants to hire that professional full time, there's no buyout fee either. They're not paying us $10,000 to buy out that contract. There's $0 extra. It's a pure SaaS play. So in that sense, we're vastly different from all these other staffing agencies, companies, because we're like the iTunes model. You pay one flat fee and you get unlimited music with iTunes. And if you want to add a song to your playlist, there's no extra charge for that. You can just add it to your playlist. Same with us. You pay one flat fee, you get unlimited hygienists, you get unlimited dental assistants. You want to add some of them to your team full time, you do no extra fees to us. And that business model is a complete 180. We completely turned the staffing agency model on its head. And that's our second biggest differentiator.
Good to know. I was curious about one more thing. So I understand from the business point of view, but I would love to know because you do have a lot of professionals and that's a big number of people on your platform altogether. And I would like to understand from their point of view as well. What are let's talk about three main challenges they might be facing on other platforms or like through an agency altogether, which Cloud Dentistry solves brilliantly. And that's one of the reasons why they sign up on the platform.
Sure. I think for the longest time, dental professionals have felt like they don't have any power and that they are undervalued in many ways. They want to feel appreciated. They want to feel like they have options. They want to feel like someone is looking out for their best interests.
Mhm.
And with Cloud Dentistry, we try to give them all the tools to accomplish that. So it doesn't matter what lifestyle they want to live. If they want to work every day of the week, we can accommodate that. If they only want to pick up one extra shift per month, we can accommodate that. And a lot of these hygienists, they have semi full-time jobs at dental practices, but the dental practice, it's an idiosyncratic element of dentistry that a lot of dentists only use their hygienists 4 days out of the week, or maybe even only 3 days out of the week. And they reserve 1 or 2 days for business matters, for surgeries, for things where they don't need the hygienist. And so you have a lot of hygienists that have a full-time job, pretty much a 4-day a week job. And they have these fractional units of labor that go unmonetized that they would like to be able to monetize. They didn't have before Cloud Dentistry an easy, seamless way of doing so. Now they can. They have complete control over their calendar, their rates, everything. And so I think it's that kind of mission of empowerment that really excites the dental professionals. And then when you add on top of it the fact that for the longest time, they were being controlled and handled by the temp agencies, right? Like the temp agencies would say, you have to work here, you need to work there. And oh, by the way, the office is paying this amount, but you're only getting this amount, right? And we're keeping that middle portion. Hygienists didn't like that. They felt like they were being treated unfairly. So now when we tell them, look, that gap between what the office pays a temp agency and what you receive is now nothing, right? Like you get 100% of it. We're about empowering you. That message very much resonates with them. They're like, wow, Cloud Dentistry really has my back. And then that mentality pervades the platform. So there are other details. If if an office cancels the assignment on a professional at the last minute, in the past, the professional would just be out of luck. What professional is going to hire a lawyer and sue the dental office for 1 day, what 1 day's pay? They just eat the cost. But with Cloud Dentistry, if you're canceled at the last minute, you let us know. Cloud Dentistry will front that money to you. And then we worry about collecting from the office, if at all. And so that extra protection, again, engenders a lot of trust with the professionals because they say, look, Cloud Dentistry, they talk the talk, but they also walk the walk. They say that they have our back, that they're about empowering the professionals, and they truly are.
That's correct. Let's talk about some more drawbacks of traditional staffing agency. I still see a lot of them doing good, at least money-wise, because of the fact that they take so much permission. But yeah, let's talk a bit more about the drawbacks of the traditional staffing agencies altogether, and how exactly on-demand staffing solution you feel like basically are really the future altogether.
Sure. So I think the traditional staffing agencies, their biggest downfall is that they're using human capital, human labor to make matches happen. And so they're literally calling up people on their phone and saying, hey, I need someone to work this Friday at an office. And they send out a text blast to all their people. And then they get people to respond, and then they match them to the office. It's a very manual process. And because of that, it's slow. It takes time. Usually if you put in a request to a temp agency, it's going to take hours to fill it, or maybe even days to fill it. Whereas with Cloud Dentistry, because it truly is on demand, our response time for getting a confirmed booking is less than 10 minutes. So it's very quick. So temp agencies can't compete on the speed. The other factor is the cost. Like I alluded to earlier, the human capital element makes it very expensive to make these matches happen. And so they're charging these huge markups on the daily rates for the professionals, these huge buyout fees. And so if you compare prices, our cost structure is about 90% less expensive than the temp agency model. So we eradicate them on price. So speed is way better with us. Price is way better than with us. And then the final metric is quality. So when a professional is working through a temp agency, they're just a cog in the machine. The temp agency is telling them, you go to this office, you go to that office. The person's reputation that's on the line isn't the temps, it's the staffing agencies, right? And so the temps don't have a huge incentive to show up on time, show up with a smile on your face, do good work, because there's no skin in the game for them. With Cloud Dentistry, it's a very profile-centric site. So if your users were to envision it, it looks very much like LinkedIn, kind of like LinkedIn on steroids, right? You have all these profiles, user reviews. And so on our site, the professionals, they have a living, breathing profile with their face on it. It has all the reviews offices have left for them. It tracks all their work history. And they're like, this is very, very valuable real estate for them. And so they don't want to go into an office and not be smiling, not show up on time, do poor work, it's going to reflect badly on their public facing profile. So now, because the professionals have skin in the game, the quality of the professionals has been elevated. Like over 95% of the professionals on our platform are ranked 4 out of 5 stars or better by the offices. And so there again, like we exceed the temp agencies by far in our quality metrics. So we deliver this rare trifecta of benefits. It's price, speed, and quality all together. We win on all three of them.
And I would love to know about the user journey as well on the platform. I know there are two sides of users. The one professionals, the other one will be dental practices. So please, can one and explain how exactly the user journey will be on the platform.
Sure. So on the office side, it's very simple. And offices oftentimes think it's too good to be true. It's free to create your account with us and free to look at all the staff in your area. There's no charge for looking. So you can literally log in, see all the profiles, see their schedules, see their rates, see the user reviews for all the people in your area. And what's neat about that is that the American Dental Association did a recent poll, and they found that 90% of dental offices say that they're either having an extremely hard time or a very hard time finding dental hygienists. So these dental offices, they can't find hygienists. And then they log into Cloud Dentistry for free, create their account for free, and then they see hundreds of hygienists that have logged in within minutes of them logging in. So we show the last login rate. And if I were to do a demo right now and show you, you'd see literally hundreds of hygienists within minutes of our having this call here today. And they're blown away. They're like, whoa, I haven't been able to find hygienists anywhere. And Cloud Dentistry has a ton of hygienists. And not only do they have hygienists, but they're very active. They've logged in within minutes. Let me message these people. And so it's a freemium to premium model for the offices. Once they're in the system and they see that we have hygienists, they see that they have live schedules that they can book. Then when they actually go to message a professional or book a professional, they'll hit a paywall and it'll prompt them to upgrade to a paid subscription. It's very nominal. It varies by geography, but on average, it's about $100 per month per location. So very affordable. They pay $100 and then they can book with impunity. They book that hygienist, they book as many other ones down the month that they want, and they're done. It's very simple, very straightforward. We have a system called Cloud Direct Pay that integrates with Stripe Connect. So once the booking is done, this is optional for the office. They can use the Stripe Connect feature and we'll withdraw money from the office's account, deposit it into the professional's account, and we'll be responsible for issuing the 1099 forms. So the office, it's completely turnkey from their perspective. They book and we handle all the payments. We make sure the professional shows up. Everything's done. So it's a very simple, very easy process for the offices, both from everything from the account creation part to upgrading to a subscription to actually getting bookings on the platform.
And how's the journey of professionals on the platform?
So very similar. Again, we try to remove any friction, any hurdles to getting work is essentially the goal here. So it's as easy as creating a Facebook account or LinkedIn account. You go to the website, you create your account, you upload your picture. Usually takes about less than 24 hours for us to verify you because we verify all of the dental licenses for the professionals. So we only want licensed professionals on the platform, obviously. So after about 24 hours, your profile will be approved. You set your work parameters. You tell us when you want to work, how far you want to travel, and how much you want to make. Your profile goes live, and then you start receiving booking requests. Most professionals that create accounts with us will have a job within like the first 2 or 3 days of their profile going live. It's very efficient at getting them the work they want.
Okay, so I've been looking into the staffing sector in general. AI is playing a big role nowadays. You see tools for putting resume, AI job matching tools, resume optimizing tools, and even AI-powered interview coaching tools out in the market. So do you have any such offerings on the platform? Is something which is on your roadmap?
Definitely something on our roadmap. AI is going to change everything. It's frightening to see how quickly AI is taking things over. I predict in my previous industry, the legal industry, I think 80% of lawyers will be out of work. I think the AI will be able to do most of what lawyers do. It's incredible to see. So I think companies that want to stay ahead have to adopt AI, no question about it, both on our product offerings. And I think you suggested a few. I should take notes here. Those are some good ideas. I think resume optimization, interview training, I think those are all great ideas. And then also on the back end, like using AI to help with marketing, to help with operations. There's a lot of things AI can assist with, and it's definitely part of our roadmap.
Gotcha. And any other niche trend that's impacting your product development?
I think really we're in many ways, we are the beneficiaries of good timing. You hear this a lot about companies that what makes a startup company successful? Is it the funding? Is it the team? Is it the experience? Is it the product? And they've done kind of aggregate analyses of this. And all these factors matter, of course. But the one factor that seems to predominate all others is timing. You have a great idea, but if you're too early, it's no good. If you're too late, it's no good. And we're in many ways a beneficiary of good timing. The one kind of niche or idiosyncratic thing about dentistry is we were hit especially hard by COVID when it comes to staffing, harder than other industries. And post-COVID, the healthcare industry, 1 in 5 healthcare workers quit and didn't return. So that's blow number 1 to dentistry, right? So the hygienists and the dental assistants, 1 in 5 quit. They got used to a single income lifestyle where they were relying on their partner to be the breadwinner. And they said, I like this. I'm not going back post-COVID. 1 in 5 quit. Then the other big demographic shift is post-COVID, the female workforce participation rate is at a 33-year low. So very depressed female workforce participation rate. And dental professionals, the hygienists, the dental assistants are 98% female. And so there again, where it's kind of a 1-2 punch. We're healthcare and they're also a female-driven industry. So the labor supply has gotten very tight. So that's where a product like Cloud Dentistry really shines because, again, we unlock extra fractional units of labor that weren't available otherwise. If you have a hygienist that is working and that's working 4 days out of the week, she's not going to put up her resume on Indeed to try to pick up 1 extra day. But if she has an easy to use platform where she's in control and she can get work through the platform seamlessly, she can put up that 1 day and monetize it. So we're expanding the labor pool in an environment where the labor pool is very tight. And so that's one idiosyncratic thing about dentistry that I think has timed well for us.
I remember like a lot of, there was a good lift on tele-appointments, all of those things, video consultation during time. And that was really interesting stats that you have shared. Thank you for dental industry mojo through the platform.
Absolutely.
I think we're coming to it, and I would like to have a quick rapid fire with you. Ready for that?
Sure, I'll give it a shot.
What habit holds you back the most?
I would say currently probably social media because I have to engage in social media because of my job, but the social media algorithms are very good. And so once you start using it for purpose A, which is a good, legitimate purpose, you're using it for business, next thing you're scrolling through your feed for 10, 15 minutes that you didn't have to spend on that. So I wish I could break that habit of an extra 10 minutes here, an extra 10 minutes there on social media, just be a little bit more efficient. Because again, I pride myself on efficiency. So this is, I don't like the way the algorithms manipulate me.
I think that's the problem. What show do you absolutely despise doing?
What job?
Yeah.
What job do I despise doing?
Yeah. What show?
Chore. So this is, it segues into another business idea of mine, but I loathe doing dishes. And just can't stand doing dishes. And it's
for that.
Yeah, I think it's ripe for one because it's not worth hiring a cleaner to come by just to do the dishes. It's not worth their time to drive out here, do the dishes, and then leave after 5-10 minutes. But if we could pool users together and they knock out 50 sets of dishes in one dense neighborhood, then it economizes, right, for everyone involved. So I think there's a gap there for sure.
What subject do you find to be most fascinating?
So I'm really into like science fiction and sci-fi. So anything science related, especially when it comes to pushing the boundaries of physics, pushing the boundaries of space travel, all that stuff is always very fascinating to me. I kind of nerd out on it.
And I'm sure you must have found a lot of channels on Instagram posting short reels around space, and
there's no shortage of those. And now with the aliens and everything, and I'm like a kid again.
What career did you dream of having as a kid?
So when I was a kid, If you were to ask my mom, she always talks about how I wanted to be a fireman when I was really young.
I thought you would say astronaut, but
Yeah, I could see astronaut too, although that wasn't. Yeah, it was fireman for some reason. I think kids just love trucks. They love the uniforms and putting out fires. It's a heroic profession, so I think it lends itself to that idealized kid version of yourself.
I got a family logistic business, and when I was a kid, I used to dream about becoming a truck driver.
Yep,
And
yep. Kids love trucks. Yeah.
what did you last search on Google?
My last search on Google. Good question. I think this morning I did the Wordle, so I think I usually use Google to find the Wordle website.
Uh,
Yeah,
but, all right, Trey, I think that's it from me. And thank you so much
awesome.
for joining me today and sharing all the wisdom, all the
Absolutely.
knowledge about the platform. Really
It was
appreciate
it
it.
was
Thank you so much.
absolutely. It was a real pleasure. You asked some great questions. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.